I'm going to be answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you guys are catching the live replay and you guys would like your own natal chart reading, a progressed natal chart reading, a synastry reading, the information for all of that is going to be in the description box below. You guys can send me an email and we will go from there. Welcome to everyone in the chat. How are you guys doing? Host of 411. Hey Concerned. Hey Christine. Hey Mary. Hey T. What do you guys want to know about? I'm going to be answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. Feel free to comment below. Mary said, do I have any advice on help with meditation practices? Okay, it's going to be important to figure out what kind of meditation is going to work for you because there's different types of meditations. Thank you guys for the likes. Hey Larissa, how are you guys doing? I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. So yes, it depends what your meditation style is because it's like, if you're already a fast-paced person and maybe you work like, let's say a 9 to 5 and you're super busy, then maybe like, let's say relaxing and relaxation time is going to be a good meditation practice for you, for example. But for example, you know, let's say you're someone who is super hyper and you have to move all the time and you can't sit still. Well, then maybe a walking meditation is going to be good for you, or going to the gym, or let's say you're cleaning, or let's say you're listening to music, something of the sort, okay? So there's different types of meditations. It depends how are you energetically built. Because it's like, you can listen to a meditation, but then sometimes people fall asleep, for example, like during their meditations. Thank you guys for the likes. Which is fine, because I find like, even if you fall asleep during your meditation, in that case, it's like you probably needed that rest. You know what I mean? So there's different types. You have guided meditations on YouTube. You could do a movement meditation like a yoga class. That can also help you learn how to do meditation. You said walking meditation work very hyper. Yeah, I do walking meditations. So I'm always walking around everywhere and listening to my music, and that's basically my form of meditation. But I also listen to certain meditations as well. So it depends, really. It depends like on the day and the vibe. But like if I were to pick my favorite, it's probably like a walking meditation. I used to do yoga back in the day too. But it's like, here's the thing. If you're someone who's like in your crown chakra all day, like myself, for example, like doing more like things that are gonna make you go in the crown chakra even more, if that makes sense. Like you're not then gonna be able to process information if you're slowing down, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. Like for me, it's like when I'm walking, I'm processing basically whatever is coming through. So again, different things are going to work for different people. Sometimes it can be like while you're cleaning the house, or let's say you go to a dance class, anything that's like mindless and like repetitive. Welcome to all the people joining. What would you guys like to know about today? I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, is it today? You said moon opposite or square Venus. Moon opposite or square Venus. For you, there could be, let's say, friction when it comes to feminines in your life, for example. It could be this, moon opposite or square Venus. There could also maybe be friction within the self when it comes to, let's say, your creativity. Hey, oh my gosh, I'm glad you caught me live too. How are you, Caramel? Or is it Caramel? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. You said how to work through. Hey, oh, there you guys are. Nice, perfect. Okay, I'm going to start going in order. You said, what's the difference between the two aspects? So the square and the opposite. Okay, so both are going to be quote unquote hard aspects. It's going to be a challenge because the square is like literally one planet's pulling you in this direction and then the other one, it's like a point of contention. And then opposite is literally like you're being pulled on two sides. So both are going to be challenging as per astrology. The way that I see it is like, it's all about just like figuring out how to basically master these energies within is really what that is. Like maybe you have something else in your chart to counteract that energy, or you can figure out how to work with the energy, because I don't necessarily always see it as something negative, even though in astrology is going to be like a hard aspect or like challenging, right? Because like the thing is also with squares and oppositions, it depends which one of the two planets are you going into, okay? So like, let's say, for example, you have, in your case, where you have moon, let's say squaring Venus. Well, it depends. Are you going more into the moon or are you going more into the Venus, right? And sometimes in certain phases, you're going to go more into the moon, and then other times you're going to go more into the Venus, right? Until you kind of neutralize that energy within. Hey everyone. Oh yay, I got it. Yeah, awesome. So Kara Miel, nice. That's good. What would you like to know? Okay, I'm going back up. Okay, so how to work through Chiron in the 12th house. So really interesting because I'm curious to know what sign you have in there as well, because Chiron in the 12th house, you're basically healing through any sort of just like 12th house types of things in this lifetime, okay? So it could be like your subconscious, depending what sign is in here, like maybe you're clearing a lot to do with your subconscious, for example, with Chiron in the 12th house. Oh my goodness, today is like the day of like the camera moving around. So yes, that could take place. You could also be healing through metaphysical things, like that could be very healing for you on that soul level, Chiron in the 12th house. Also anything to do with like, let's say dance, or anything to do with like, let's say film, theater, music, the metaphysical world, all these things could be healing for you. Chiron is the wounded healer. You said you have Libra in there. Can you tell me if you have Libra occupying your 12th house overall? You said, what would I say about Saturn, Mercury, Neptune conjunct in Capricorn in the 6th house? Well, the Saturn in there is going to kind of help you ground the Mercury, Neptune conjunction, okay? Because Mercury conjunct Neptune is a little bit of a struggle because it's like you're going off into the ethers and you're going off into the crown chakra all the time, okay? So Saturn is going to help you kind of ground that energy, if that makes sense, okay? So again, you know, it depends like what phase of your life are you in, because if you're more in the Mercury and Neptune, let's say you have a lot of free time and maybe you don't have a goal and maybe you don't have any ambitions, you're going more off into the crown chakra and into the ethers and dreaming and daydreaming and then merging to the collective unconscious and all these things, okay? So that's Mercury conjunct Neptune, right? So let's say you do have a goal, which would be Saturn. Let's say, you know, you have some sort of goal and you have some sort of ambition that you're going toward. Well, then the Saturn, you know, in there is going to help you ground that, okay? And then the Neptune, it's actually nice to kind of have those energies because it's kind of like a nice balance as long as you have something that you're working toward, okay? Because that's what Saturn is. Saturn wants you to work toward something, basically is what that is with Saturn, okay? So if you don't have a goal and you don't have an ambition, you're going into the Neptune aspect of things and you're going off into the ethers is basically what that is, okay? Dreaming, daydreaming, going into the psychic realms, these types of things, okay? With the Mercury, Neptune in there. Okay, so you have, okay, that's really interesting. So you have Libra in the 12th house. So that's basically your unconscious is Libra. And a lot of the time with 12th house energies, I find you have to kind of transmute the lower versions of that like energy first, if that makes sense. So for example, okay, for example, with Libra, it can be like people pleasing. It can be, you know, indecision, for example, which is usually connected to people pleasing with Libra and like head versus heart types of situations. It can be, for example, being passive, like not being overly blunt, for example, and these types of things. So with Chiron in here, right, you are clearing through this energy, right? It's kind of like you're building that solar plexus chakra is basically what that is. Like the sense of self and the confidence in the self and basically like speaking your mind, speaking your truth, like the solar plexus chakra, the identity and these types of things. You're welcome. I'm glad that that resonated. I'm just gonna go back up. Welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. You said you have Moon and Mercury and Pisces. Can I give you insight on what to do? Yes. So it's so interesting. If you were in here when I was just speaking on Mercury conjunct Neptune, that's going to apply to you as well because you have Mercury and Pisces. And then even people who have, let's say, Mercury in the 12th house, and then also people who have Neptune in the 3rd house, okay? These individuals go off into the ethers when it comes to their mind, okay? So your mind is psychic, right? So you're actually connected to the other side. But the thing is, down here on this earth plane, it's an earth plane, right? So it's material. It is all about, you know, the money and all these types of things, right? That's what this earth is all about. So it's like when you have Mercury and Pisces, your mind is more geared toward psychic things, right? And creativity and the creative realms and even maybe music and these types of things. So it's like you might have to work on figuring out how to ground your ideas, okay? How to be grounded in this physical plane and in this physical reality, okay? Moon in Pisces is a struggle because you get overwhelmed by like all of the emotions around you. So figuring out how to take off everybody else's energy that you probably have energetically consumed. Oh, thank you, Praveen. That's so nice. Hey, Lorraine, how are you guys doing? How are you all doing? I'm just going in order. I'll get to everyone. Advice for Scorpio moon. Okay, give me 1 second. BRB. Okay, I am back. Okay, back to the advice for the Scorpio moon. Yeah, okay, so Scorpio moon is intense. It is a lot. Basically, when you have a Scorpio moon, you also want to see how is the Scorpio moon operating, okay? So you want to look and see what's going on with your Mars. And I'll teach you guys that another day, how to get to the root of basically the energy to see how the energy is actually operating, okay? And that's based on ancient rulership, okay, in terms of astrology. So Scorpio being ruled by Scorpio back in the day. So anyways, we'd have to look at your chart to see how is your Scorpio moon operating. So anyways, with that being said, when you have a Scorpio moon, it's a little bit of a struggle. And here's the thing, the whole reason you want to look at the quote unquote root of that placement is because then you're going to know what type of Scorpio moon is it, right? What's going on with this Scorpio moon, really, okay? Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. Feel free to comment below. So Scorpio moon has a lot that they have to transmute because it's like, first of all, the upbringing in the home is tumultuous when you are young, okay? So there's a lot of things going on in there. There's always a sensitivity to the mother, and a lot of the time, even the child might take on and internalize, let's say, some of the mother's traumas, for example, okay? Because the moon is the mother or that dominant feminine role in your life. So for Scorpio moon, it can actually even start in the womb, for example. Let's say the mother was going through something intense or traumatic and you have now internalized all of these energies. So just like any other water moon, you're going to have to spend some time releasing the energies that are not yours. Basically, that's the first thing that you have to do. Then you have to learn about the self is basically what that is. Okay. So figuring out who you are, you know, what are your likes, wants, needs, and desires after you have kind of cleared other people's energies off of you. Okay. So spending some time maybe in your own energy, if you have the ability to do so, to basically take off all of these things that you probably have internalized that literally probably have nothing to do with you, right? Probably things and people and things that are around you. Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, Nick, how are you doing? Hey, Sue. Hey, everybody. Hey, oh my gosh, how you guys doing? Hey, Alcides. I hope I said your name correctly. Okay, so back to the Scorpio moon. So there's just so much, okay, with the Scorpio moon. I mean, if honestly I got into it now, it would be like an hour long conversation about like just Scorpio moons and how like it operates and basically everything. But overall, in a nutshell, you want to clear all the energies off of you, release things that aren't yours, okay, so you can kind of get in tune with who you are. Now, on top of that, there's a lot of other things that you have to clear, right? Like your own things too. But I find a lot of the things that happen to Scorpio moon are basically rooted in things that they have internalized or absorbed that were usually like darker energies is basically what that is. So it's this, and then it depends too, like what house is it in, all these things to see how is that Scorpio moon operating. But that's pretty much what it is, okay? Trying to clear all of these lower vibrational energies that really no longer serve you. And also like the divine version of this energy is literally the psychic and the medium, basically, when you have a Scorpio moon. So it's pretty much this. Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? Okay, I'm going back up to see what you guys are saying up here. Okay, so ascendant at 29 degrees of Leo. Is it tough? Well, here's the thing, 29 degrees, you don't get out of that energy until you master the energy, okay? Because it is one of those critical degrees, and a lot of the time you go into the shadow of the energy first before you master it. So Leo, what are Leo shadows? Well, sometimes they can struggle with rejection. That's a big one for them, okay? They can struggle with pride. Sometimes getting in the way of things. They want to be seen sometimes, but like again, you know, they might again struggle to be seen. They might struggle to put themselves out there, for example, the Leo energy. So these are all things that you're going to have to transmute, because having a Leo rising, okay, basically the direction that you are heading in this lifetime is to be seen, okay, is to be on some form of stage where you're probably going to have to overcome a lot of those shadow Leo types of things. Like for example, Leo sometimes, you know, can kind of have that expectation where it's like they want to start something and, you know, they want the crowd to be there right away. Well, that's not really realistic because everybody starts at zero. So it's like they might start and then there's nobody coming. They're not getting that validation. They're not getting that applause. And then they kind of give up. Well, the whole point with that energy is to learn to not give up, basically, to keep pushing through and kind of getting to the end goal, basically, which is to be seen. So the more that you do it, the more that you kind of put yourself out there, you're going to start to see the rewards, basically, okay, with that Leo energy. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? You said, what about Scorpio moon conjunct Pluto? You've read a few things. Not so familiar. Scorpio moon conjunct Pluto. That is intense because it's like the double of that Scorpio energy. So you have Scorpio moon, and then also on top of that, it's moon conjunct Pluto. So it's like literally Scorpio moon like times 5, right? Because it's like so much of that energy. Because it's like, again, you know, any sort of Plutonian aspects that you have, you're basically transforming through that area. So for you, you're going to go through a lot of emotional turmoil and a lot of emotional change, basically, is what that is. Up, down, until you neutralize somewhere in the middle is basically what that is for that Scorpionic energy. energy is really, really what that is. But up until that point in time, there might be a lot of power struggles, for example, in certain situations. There might be a lot of controlling certain situations, manipulation, you know, a lot of self-preservation, because the Scorpio energy is all about self-preservation. Everything Scorpio does is to preserve the self, is basically what that is, right? Because it's in your moon sign, it's your emotional world, okay, is really what that is. So it's this. I'm sure you guys have heard, like, Scorpio goes through, some people are going to say 7 animals. I usually just say the 3, right? You go through the different phases until you get to that Phoenix rising state for the Scorpionic energy. So you go through a lot of death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then you neutralize somewhere in the middle. And I kind of want to say that, like, when Scorpio gets to that ultimate potential, they're kind of just like in this unbothered state is really what that is. Because at that point, they've probably seen everything, especially a Scorpio moon, felt everything, kind of gone through all the breakdowns energetically and emotionally. And at that point in time, they're just kind of like chilling is basically what that is. Kind of like an observer is really what it is. You get to the point where you're just like a witness of everything that's happening around you. You said you have Saturn 29 degrees in Leo in the 7th house. There it is, okay? So again, you don't get out of that energy until you master it. So for you, it's in Leo. So it's like you got restricted, and it's a subset of your generation with the Saturnian energy, okay? So it's you and then people within that 3-year bracket, which are your peers, okay? So you guys are all going to get restricted in the area of self-expression. And it's like, it's a 29 degrees. So it's like you might really feel that restriction energetically. Like you might really feel like, again, it starts with the father for Saturn, but then it's gonna be, let's say, your teachers, your managers. Like, for example, with Saturn at 29 degrees of Leo, like, let's say you always wanted to be an actor or actress, for example, and then let's say, you know, you audition at the school play, and then like the main teacher, for whatever reason, who is like picking the people to be in the play, they don't pick you, right? That's going to be a huge hit to that Saturn 29 degree Leo, right? So it's like whatever area you guys have Saturn in, like whatever sign is in here, even the house, like you guys are mastering that is basically what that is, okay? So that's the idea with Saturn. Oh my gosh, hey Tip, hey Esperanza, how are you guys doing? Yay, I'm so glad that that resonated. I'm glad that that resonated for the Scorpio energy. And then you said yes, and even Sue, you agree as well. That's basically the Scorpio energy. Ultimately, it's like, it's really interesting because when Scorpio is in the lower versions of itself, basically what happens here is like, they have a lot of anxiety is basically what that is, okay? And all of this anxiety is from them trying to control everything. And it's like, in them trying to control everything, unfortunately, inadvertently, they make a lot of these things happen that they're trying to avoid is really what that is. So that's why also Scorpio deals with power and control, because eventually when you get to that unbothered state, okay, which is that Phoenix rising state for the Scorpionic energy, it's like at that point in time, you know, you've surrendered energetically is basically what that is. You've relinquished control, which is what the Scorpionic energy is mastering actually down here on this earth plane is really, really what that is. They're kind of like, whatever happens, happens. I know what's meant for me will come, you know, it won't pass me. And usually at that point in time, they're actually magnetizing things toward them that are meant for them, right? Because they've transmuted through a lot of those lower vibrational things. So it's not going to be, let's say, like, well, you're gonna have discernment actually, right? To see if, like, let's say darker people are coming towards you, like to not, let's say, get engaged with those people. But most of the time, opportunity situations, these types of things are gonna be coming towards you when you're in that Phoenix rising state. I'm so glad that that resonated. Yeah, exactly. That's what Scorpio is meant to do. That's basically what they're here to master, okay? It's coming out of those lower vibrational emotions. Because here's the thing, you guys, okay? The way that I see it is like you either have the energy in your chart, okay? You either have the energy in your chart, which is like Scorpio 8th house or Pluto aspects, okay? So you're transmuting it for yourself throughout your life, through your experiences, okay? So you either have it in your chart or you go through a transit, or sometimes people's energies progress, right, into these energies. So then they have to transmute it that way, or you go through a Plutonian relationship. Because all these things that Scorpio energy is transmuting are just like the shadows of the human, like, I can't say unconscious fully because the 12th house deals with the unconscious, like the collective unconscious, but basically anything that chills at the base of the spine, right? And it's like sexual energy is what triggers this, is basically what that is, okay? So sometimes people talk about like Kundalini energy. I have a little bit of a different perspective on that, because the way that I see quote unquote Kundalini is like all the sexual energy that's chilling at the base of the spine, because let's say the individual is operating out of the lower 3 chakras, it gets awakened, and basically what's taking place is like the energy quote unquote rising or going to, you know, the higher chakras is basically this, right? You're clearing through anything that is chilling at the base of the spine. So that's why like Scorpio energy, it deals with sacral, but it can also deal with the root chakra as well. So it's like anything to do with, like, again, jealousy, manipulation, you know, possessiveness, obsession, you know, anything that is like these shadow types of energies is basically what that is. Fast money, right? That's what Scorpio is transmuting. So it's like at one point in time, people are going to transmute this energy, right? Whether they're doing it because it's in their energetic field, or again, it's through a relationship, or it is, you know, a transit, whatever it is, right? That's kind of how it works. And then you have the NPCs that are just like in their own corner. And then you have the people who have the resting life, right? So they're the ones that are just kind of like chilling. But the others, like I've noticed like this is the trend, right? Because especially in these times that we're living in, it's like, you know, it's all about transmuting basically the shadows or the things that are chilling at the base of the spine, right? So that's why also Scorpionic people pull things out of other people because they have that strong sexual energy within them. So it's like, even when there's, let's say, like a sexual attraction between two people, all these things that are chilling at the base of the spine are coming to the surface is basically what it is, to be cleared, transmuted, and healed, okay? That's kind of how it works with the energy. Yeah, exactly. You said when you're authentic, you said when authenticity is your magnet. So that's the thing, right? Because it's like, again, Scorpio and the lower versions, right? It's interesting because they're actually mastering authenticity, which they do throughout their journey, throughout their lives, right? Because again, remember how I posted that video of like, you know, a deeper look at Scorpionic energy? It's like the fourth house of any Scorpio energy is actually Aquarius, right? So that's the inner world of Scorpio, which is like they might, you know, hide that part of themselves, because sometimes that fourth house energy people don't necessarily expose out there to the world right away. But a lot of the time, like Scorpio types of people are very unique and like quirky is basically what that is. So it's this. Oh, thank you, DJ. Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes, if you guys want your own natal chart reading, progressive natal chart reading, synastry reading, make sure you guys check out my website. It's going to be under the readings tab. You guys can select which reading you want. An email window should pop up. Send me an email and then we'll go from there. So I'll always let you guys know what the turnaround time is and all of that when you guys send me the email. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for popping in, DJ. I hope you're well. Hey, Dave. Hey, Kara. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you guys are here. It's nice to see some new faces, okay? New like names, even though I don't see your guys' faces. You said guilty as charged, Aquarius fourth, private polarity. You said poles, magnet poles. Okay, I'm going back up to see what you guys were saying up here, who I may have missed. Okay, you said, is Venus in 15 degree of Leo a critical degree? Hold on, let me think. I'm trying to think, is that 15 degree a Leo degree? I'd have to double check. I think it's 17. It's 5, 17, and 29, right? So I'm curious to know 15 degree. I know other people have different, because I look at like the Nikola Stojanovic degree theory. I know there's other degree theories out there too, so maybe you're looking at that one. You said with Chiron in the 12th, what about both North Node in Taurus and Chiron in Gemini in the 12th? Hold on. So you have Chiron in the 12th, and then you have North Node in Taurus and Chiron in Gemini. So both of those are in the 12th house. Are you still in the room? Can you let me know? But if they are, you're basically healing through your life purpose in this lifetime. It's basically what that is with that Chiron energy in there. Jupiter in Cancer retrograde conjunct Chiron in the 12th house. Interesting, because Jupiter in Cancer, that's a good energy for Jupiter. Retrograde, though, is going to be a struggle to express that. So you're going to have to work harder to put it out there. But what I will say, whenever there's a retrograde taking place in the transit, it's in your favor, right? So like, let's say, you know, there's Jupiter retrograde happening in the transit, it'll be a good time for you to try to expand your abundance during that period of time, right? But otherwise, for you, might feel like an uphill battle, let's say, until you kind of overcome that energy. And there's actually usually with retrograde, to me, the way it feels is kind of like a resistance energy is basically what that is, okay? You're kind of resisting that thing, right? And then like trying to push it away, but wanting it at the same time. That's kind of how it feels to me, like retrograde energy. So it's this. So Jupiter in Cancer, and then you have a conjuncting Chiron. So basically like your abundance and the way you make abundance is connected to like your area of healing in this lifetime, right? So it's probably like something that you're meant to master probably is to create money and abundance and have a lot of it probably. But it's going to be hard as like with the 12th house energy in there, because 12th house, basically what it does is the 12th house basically kind of makes you all about, you know, like I don't care about money. Money is the root of all evil. Like that's kind of like the 12th house person's perception a lot of the time, you know? So it might be something that you might have to overcome to actually achieve that wealth and abundance that you're probably seeking. Or even like, sometimes the way that I see it is like, okay, you guys, the way that I see things is like your natal chart is like a code, okay? So you incarnate with this code, energetic code. So it's up to you, like it's gonna be, so the energies are in your favor, right? To do something. So it's up to you to actually act in that direction to bring more of that energy towards you, if that makes sense. It's not just gonna happen by itself. Most people who are unconscious and like not aware of like astrology, they're usually doing that on that unconscious level or subconsciously at least, right? They're like kind of playing out their astrological chart anyways. But if you want to really harness the energy, look at your charts and see where are the gifts and kind of like act on that energy, right? So for example, like let's say you have a lot of Capricorn energy. Well, Capricorn's quote unquote karma or thing that they're mastering in this lifetime, like whatever way, shape or form you guys want to look at it, basically for them, they're here to elevate the financial status, right? To get the money, to get the wealth, to get the gains, to get the status, but it's not going to happen by itself, right? It's not just because it's there, it's going to end up, you know, playing out for you, right? Because this earth plane, like the way that things basically manifest down here is with action, right? Along with like the dream or the vision. So when you have, let's say, Capricorn energy in your chart, you know, if you do want to achieve these things, for example, right, you're going to have to put yourself out there, right? And go meet the people and, you know, start the business or, you know, network to kind of get into those higher positions. You know what I mean? So you want to pair the action along with whatever else is going on in your chart. Exactly. You said it's a game. Exactly. It's the game. You said as in the players, what they look like. Exactly. The chart. That's exactly what it is. One second. Hey, Jason. How are you doing? What's new? I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. You said 5/17/29. Exactly. Yeah. If we go by that degree theory, it's 5/17 and 29 for the Leo degrees. You said you have a Scorpio rising at 17 degrees. Nice. And then you have midheaven in Leo. So you're basically meant to be on some sort of stage, presenting, acting, showing something. Okay, I'm going back up. Okay, Fallon, are you still in the room? You said, can I provide some context on Taurus, Moon, and North Node in the 10th house? You're welcome. Okay, so you have Taurus, Moon, and North Node in the 10th house. Can you tell me if they're conjunct if you're still in the room? Taurus, Moon, and North Node in the 10th. Basically part of the life purpose. And also it's nice that the Moon is in here because it's like, it's going to be emotionally fulfilling for you. Because sometimes, let's say you have an oppositional energy. It's like, sometimes, for example, if it's oppositional, you know, the life purpose and what's emotionally fulfilling you is like oppositional. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a struggle in that way. But in your case, because they are, let's say, in the same sign and the same house and okay, I thought you were in the room because I saw the likes, but you're not. So I'm just gonna go back up here. Anyways, because they're both in Taurus and they're both in the 10th house, we're not sure if it's conjunct, but regardless, like basically your life purpose where you're heading in this lifetime and the Moon, what's emotionally fulfilling you is on the same page, which is nice, right? It's kind of like a harmonious energy. It's like, you know, anytime you feel good about what you're doing, it's probably activating your life purpose. Now, the life purpose for you in this case is money, okay? And mastering the material plane, Taurus and the 10th house, okay? And the career and all of these things. That means your South Node would be in Scorpio and it would be in the 4th house. You could have mastered, let's say, a lot of like spiritual wisdom in a previous lifetime, like esoteric knowledge. And this lifetime could be like you applying that, but in like a more grounded type of way to master the material plane. Hey, how are you guys doing? Oh, you're welcome. What I say about Saturn, Capricorn, 13 degrees. Saturn and Capricorn, can you tell me what house it's in? Because usually, okay, so Saturn and Capricorn, you're part of the subset of the millennials. Finally, you guys are all getting a break. So that's like the group with Saturn and Capricorn, Uranus and Neptune, all in Capricorn, right? Because that was like a lot. Like you guys basically had to do a lot of shadow work while Pluto was in Capricorn. You said in the 6th house. So basically the area you got restricted in is, first of all, Capricorn, okay? So it's going to be money, finances, wealth, okay? So a lot of these individuals kind of could have incarnated into homes. Here's the thing with Capricorn energy, what's important to understand, okay? Regardless of what the situation is, whether the money is there in the home or not there. And by the way, my disclaimer always is I'm not a psychologist or anything of that sort, okay? But everything does stem from the original 2 caregivers. So with Capricorn energy, usually the child incarnates into some sort of home environment, whether the money is there or not there, okay? Basically what happens is for that child, what takes place is like you still want to have more, right? It's like the experience that you had still wasn't in one way, shape, or form, you know, satisfying for you on that soul level with the Capricorn energy in there, which is money and wealth and status, right? So a lot of these individuals, okay, a lot of these individuals with Saturn in, let's say, Capricorn and, you know, that subset of the millennials that you are a part of, you got restricted in the area of money and finances and wealth. And it's usually the father figure who restricts this area for you, okay? or Saturn in Capricorn, but it could have been the dominant masculine role in your life. It could have been the teachers. It could have been the managers even, right? For example, a lot of these people could have been very entrepreneurial. They could have been the types who, let's say, worked the 9 to 5 and then they had a side hustle. And it's like, let's say within the corporate structure, maybe they wanted to elevate, but maybe they had managers that didn't want to promote them, for example, out of fear of being replaced. Okay, something of the sort for that Saturn and Capricorn energy. So it's like, I feel like a lot of these people are going to quote unquote start coming online, you know, now that we're in Pluto and Aquarius, obviously not like right away, but you know, over the whole transit, because up until now was a lot of clearing karma, belief systems, you know, traditional belief systems, ways of making money, belief systems around money, while Pluto was basically in Capricorn is basically what that is. So a lot of you guys are going to get a break, which is nice. Okay. And then the 6th house Saturn, the 6th house Saturn is the restriction on health. Okay. So, you know, sometimes these people have, let's say, some sort of unique health condition when they're younger that they overcome. Because the thing is, wherever you guys have Saturn, the house in here is kind of like the area that you're mastering in this lifetime, right? So it's like maybe you have some sort of specific health condition, or maybe you go through like a weight loss journey and you have a specific diet that helped you and then you're helping other people, okay? Because it's health, healing, and being of service with that 6th house energy in there. So Saturn restricted you in this area. So sometimes when I tap into this energy, it's the types of people who, again, maybe have a specific diet or they don't eat specific things, or they're like the types of people who are like gluten-free and this type of free and that type of free. That's Saturn in the 6th house energy, okay? You said, I'm just going back up here, Esperanza, because I think you started your thought somewhere up here, because then you said male and female in one divine person. I do believe that that's the ultimate end goal, is to balance the masculine and feminine energy within, yes, and to be sovereign. That's just my own opinion. And then you said they are so different energies, like you're in light and the shadow. And then you said, ooh, your north node is in Gemini in the 8th house. Yeah, I mean, everybody, right? Like until you come into the awareness of the self and you start the journey of clearing the lower 3 chakras, everybody is in the shadow. It's just the way that it is. It's when you're operating out of the unconscious, you usually are in the shadow of that energy, right? It's just the way that it is. It's just the way that this like earth plane is in general, right? So that's everybody. Everybody's in the shadow, right? So you want to bring those shadows up to the surface, right? And out, okay? And basically clear them and transmute them. And astrology helps us see what those things could potentially be, okay? Let's see, what are you guys saying up here? I just went back up. You're welcome. I'm glad that it resonated. You said, okay, I did that one. You said you have Neptune in the 3rd house in Capricorn. Yes, so that's what I was saying earlier. If you have Mercury and Neptune aspects, or if you have Mercury in the 12th, or if you have Mercury in Pisces, or if you have Neptune in the 3rd house, a lot of these energies are very, very similar, okay? It's that crown chakra activity. They are psychic gifts, yes, okay? But you go off into the crown, so you could have a hard time focusing down here in this physical realm, right? So let's say when it comes to things that, you know, take a lot of energy to focus on, or things that require, let's say, a lot of attention to detail, you might have to work harder to focus on that thing, right? Let's say you're filling out a form, or let's say you're trying to read a book, like these types of things, okay? For that energy, because it's like, again, it's the type of energy that just kind of goes off into the ethers, right? And even like, you know, sometimes with this energy, it's just like, again, it's the psychic gifts and abilities, right? But again, to access that, you have to clear, again, the lower chakra wounds to get into those higher realms. But you're already naturally psychic. It just depends where are you vibrating at in terms of your chakras, right? Because people can be psychic, but they can be psychic in the shadow sense, where it's like they have certain fears and they could be breathing life into those fears, right? Because they're kind of worried that thing's going to happen, and then it inadvertently ends up happening, right? Hey, how you guys doing? You said, how is Mars, North Node, and part of Fortune all conjunct in Sag in the 10th house in Placidus? Wow, so that's all conjunct in Sagittarius and in the 10th house. You have Mars, North Node, and part of Fortune. Oh, that's nice energy. Because it's like your goals and your ambitions, and then what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime, which is your life purpose, which is your North Node, and the ability to make money, which is part of Fortune. It's all in the same energy. So it's like all working together. Now, what I will say, the struggle with Sagittarius energy is the fact that it's immutable, okay? So Sag, you know, they tend to be scattered, especially like in the earlier part of their life. Oh, this is fun. Oh, that's fun. Oh, let me go here. Let me go on this adventure. Let me travel. You know what I mean? They're kind of scattered all over the place. So it's a matter of trying to reel that energy in, because the thing is, the divine version of this, when Sag picks one thing and they stick to that thing and they see it through until the end, because it's fire, they're kind of like bringing it through, right? But it's the mutable nature of Sag, which is like the struggle with Sagittarius energy, just like any other sign. Every sign has the light side and the shadow side. So that's the thing with Sag, what I've noticed with them. When they pick the one thing that they want to do, they become very good at it and very accomplished in that area, okay? But it takes them a while because they change their minds and things can be boring because Sag is also very intelligent, right? So things can get boring for them. This is not interesting, you know, let me move on to this next thing. And like it's Sag, it's also fire. So it's like, you know, again, you know, because you have a lot of fire within, you could have a hard time sitting still, right? It's like you're out the door, you're doing this, you're doing that, especially because it's in the Mars too, right? So it's a matter of pulling the energy in and figuring out what's the goal right here and where is it that you're trying to go, because it's in the 10th house. So like the 10th house energy, and there is like you're trying to, again, you know, elevate in one way, shape, or form. It's in the area of career and maybe being some sort of public person because of the North Node in there as well. You know, maybe becoming very well known in a field because it's Sag. It could be maybe like a philosopher or sometimes motivational speaker with them, or a teacher. It's a teacher of some sort, right? So that can manifest so many different ways because it can be a spiritual teacher. It can be a motivational speaker. It can be somebody who, again, through the things that they've done and their experiences, they've learned something. So they come back and teach. That's Sag, right? They go off, learn, come back, teach. Now also with Sag, it can be the higher mind, right? In terms of like, let's say academia. So if you have Sag energy, it can also be, let's say you go off and you get your, you know, bachelor's and then master's and then PhD, like you kind of take it all the way through. So it depends, right? They just have to find something that they're actually interested in that they can kind of stick, you know, through until the end is basically what that is with the Sag energy. Yeah, it's nice energy. If you guys want to know about your birthday, you can go on any sort of astrology website, type in your information and see what it gives you. And then you can come back here and let me know what you want to know about your natal chart. He said, what about Venus, Pluto, North Node in Libra, 9th house? Is it conjunct Lorraine? Let me know. Venus, Pluto, North Node. You have Venus, Pluto, North Node, and it's all in Libra in the 9th house. So basically the life purpose here deals with some sort of transformation, something to do with gathering people together, and then for some sort of higher minded like thing, right? So like, let's say you come up with a new philosophy and you create like some sort of group of people, right? Where it's like, you guys all gather together, okay? That's the Libra energy. Libra's the party host. So the life purpose here is like, in one way, shape, or form, you are gathering people together for something that's higher minded, which is that 9th house, okay? Some sort of like philosophy, or let's say, again, because it's a 9th house, it could also be, let's say you go off and again, you do the academia route, right? And you get a PhD or whatever, and then you're teaching people, right? For example, it could be this as well with that energy in there, but it's going to deal with transformation because Pluto is in there as well. Okay. So you're going to be helping people transform in terms of your life purpose, but again, right? So you're helping people transform in terms of your life purpose with that Pluto in there. But again, the whole energy here is, again, you are gathering people together, okay, for some sort of higher minded type of thing, okay, with that 9th house in there. And teaching is basically what that is, the teaching energy. You said it's all conjunct. Okay, and part of fortune. Oh, that's nice. So you can literally make money through all of this. Because here's the thing, you guys, sometimes your life purpose, which is your North Node, isn't the thing that you're going to be like making money through, if that makes sense, right? Because like sometimes people have different types of life purposes. Sometimes someone's life purpose is to come into their truth in this lifetime. Sometimes someone's life purpose is to, you know, fully be their authentic self in this lifetime. Do you know what I mean? So it depends what's going on in the natal chart. And it's important to see, like, are there stelliums like this taking place? Because the thing is also, if there's a lot of energy concentrated in one area, well, if you're acting in that energy, right, you're basically going to automatically magnetize abundance to yourself is really, really what that is. So it's like, in this case, because it's Libra and it's in the 9th house and fortune is in here, you can literally make money through these types of things, right? Basically creating communities, for example. Let's say it's PR, marketing, fashion with Libra in there. And even your community, okay, with the North Node in Libra can help uplift you into your life purpose as well. Now, Venus conjunct Pluto is nice because this is another wealth placement as well, okay? With Venus conjunct Pluto. So it's nice to have this, but again, you know, Venus conjunct Pluto can also want to get rich quick. So that's the thing. You have the light side and the shadow side of all the energies. BRB, you guys. Okay, I'm back. Hey, Hungry Caterpillar, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Oh, you're welcome. I hope you're doing well too. Aw, thank you, Sundog. Oh, you guys are so kind. Oh my gosh, I love this community. You guys are so awesome. Thank you for being part of the chat, for being part of the YouTube. I was gonna say Facebook group. It's so random, okay? But regardless, I don't have a Facebook group. But yes, thank you for being part of the chat, the YouTube, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, for being here on this live. You guys are so awesome. Hey Moon Sun, how are you doing? You said, do I have any recommendations for strong Pluto Mars synastry to prevent violence? Your Scorpio rising to his Mars and Venus, and your Aries Venus to his Aries rising. Yeah, here's the thing. Depends how evolved are the two people, and it depends how willing are the two people, like willing to work on themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, okay, this is the important thing to understand with the Plutonian relationships, A house synastry, and even like Scorpio energy, okay? Because it's like, let's say you're in a relationship with someone and, okay, when you have these types of dynamics, there's gonna be a lot of sexual energy present, okay? What's important to understand about sexual energy, if it doesn't have an outlet, it turns into aggression and violence. And that's already for people, right? So let's say there's a lot of sexual energy present between the two people, which is this type of synastry, right? If that energy doesn't have an outlet, or, okay, the other thing that tends to happen with these situations is the sexual energy, and it's so interesting, I was just explaining this in the earlier part of the slide. The sexual energy is gonna bring up to the surface all the things that are chilling at the base of the spine, okay? So all the shadow behaviors, all of the like manipulation, jealousy, possession, all these things, okay? That's all at the base of the spine. Those are kind of like collective types of wounds you can look at, or shadows or shadow traits, right? So it depends. Are the two people evolved enough in these situations? Because if the two people are evolved, then you guys are going to be harmonious, right? Because it's like you're looking for that depth in the relationship. But let's say one of the people in this relationship is not wanting to look at themselves, and now the other person comes through and the other person is igniting all the sexual energy within them. And then they are feeling all these types of ways, triggered, all these things are coming to the surface. If they can't look at themselves, they're going to blame you, okay? So that's how that can kind of manifest. So you have to look and see within the other person, like you're clearly the more self-aware one in this conversation, right? So you have to look at the other person because you're aware of what's going on here and the potential, right? Is this person, you know, able to, let's say, handle the strength of this energy? Are they going to look at themselves and not blame you? Because in this situation, even though the sexual energy is bringing things to the surface, right? For them, you know, if they're not ready to look at their shadows and these types of things, they might blame you, and then you might be the scapegoat, even though you're not doing anything. It's just the presence of the sexual energy there. I hope that that makes sense. So that's how these dynamics can turn toxic, or they can go into the shadow energy, right? It depends how evolved are the two people in these situations, is basically what that is, okay? And is there an outlet for this energy? And, you know, again, what's going on with the shadow traits within two people? Because it's like, let's say this person that you're involved with, right, has never dealt with any sort of shadows, and all these things are taking place with them, and you come through and like now there's a sexual energy present amongst the two people, and all these things are coming to the surface for them. Well, it's like, are they willing to work on that, or are they going to just project, is basically what that is. And if it goes into the shadow of the energy, that's how it can go into the violence, right? So you need to have discernment in these situations to see early on and assess the other person, really is what that is, and see how far along are they in their journey. Are they willing to work on themselves, and do they even understand what's going on here, or are they just going to project and not be able to deal with their emotions and the energy that's taking place here? That's pretty much what's going on with all of that, okay? I'm so glad that that makes sense. Okay, that's good. You said you're in TBD mode. I need to screenshot that, or maybe you can explain what that is, or is that to be determined? You said that makes complete sense. Maybe that means to be determined. If you're still in the room, let me know. Hey, Concern, how are you doing? Confidence in the catch, or you said confidence is the catch. You said, hi, can I break down, you said you have the sun in the 10th house, Venus in the 10th, lots of 10th house people in the chat tonight, and the Gemini midheaven, and you also have Capricorn North Node in the 10th house, lots of 10th house North Nodes tonight, okay? Basically the 10th house, okay, energy, and if you have the stellium going on in your chart, it can be a public life, right? But it depends what's going on, right? Because not everyone's going to go international. Sometimes the public life could be, let's say you work in a government job, or you become very well known in your niche, right? So sometimes you'll see this with like well-known lawyers or like well-known engineers, these types of things, right? So that's the 10th house energy. You're working with the public in one way, shape, or form. Maybe you work in a public sector, right? Like a government type of role as well, with that energy as well. So it depends, okay? Because you said you have Sun, 10th house, Venus, and then Venus in the 10th house. And then can you tell me what the Sun and the Venus are in if you're still in the room? Like what sign are they in? And then Capricorn North Node. Yeah, basically if you want, it's kind of like the energy is allowing you to try to make it all the way to the top kind of thing, right? But you have to put in the work. That's what I was saying earlier in this live as well, right? The energy is there and it's in your favor, okay? But you have to still put in the work. It's not going to just come knocking on your door. That's just how it is down here on this earth plane. And then you have a Gemini midheaven. So probably something with like networking, speaking to people, these types of things. Oh, I'm so glad that that resonated. Oh, good. You guys are so awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You said Pluto in Scorpio sextile, Mercury in Capricorn, so you're always 10 steps ahead. The sextiles and the trines are nice because it's a complementary energy. It's not going to overpower. So in terms of the way that you think, which is Mercury and Capricorn already, right? So money's on your mind, you know, trying to get the wealth, trying to maybe start a business or elevate your career, these types of things, okay? Now the Pluto sextiling the Mercury, you're always 10 steps ahead, right? So you're always planning things. You could also be like a very good like financial like analyst, or just like, you know, the financial people who like do forecasting or whatever for like businesses, or like they're able to predict, or you're able to see, you know, where's the stock market gonna go, like that's that energy, okay? The Pluto sextiling Mercury and in Capricorn. So if you're not involved in investments, probably it would be a good time to learn about them because you already have the mind for it, is basically what that is, okay? Okay, to be determined. Okay, I'm glad. I just wanted to double check. Let's see, what else are you guys saying in here? Let's see. He said, get straight to it. No need to weed out the lies that they will no doubt have to filter until they may sexually meet. The thing is, the sexual energy, it's so interesting. I've heard this from someone else and it's actually so true, okay? So whether you are sexually involved with a person or there's a potential of it happening, you know, the person is gonna behave in a certain type of way, right? So it's gonna tell you a lot about that person, you know? So that's the thing with sexual energy, right? Whether it's you getting involved with that person physically or the energy is just present, it's still bringing things to the surface, okay, amongst the two people. Analyst, okay, good. That's what it is. Financial analyst. You said you don't have Venus in Scorpio, you have Venus and Mars progress to Virgo, both in the 10th house. Nice. Let's see, the nurse artist. Ooh, I like that. You said Jupiter, Sun conjunct. Oh my gosh, so many 10th house people. You said Jupiter, Sun conjunct, okay, in Aquarius in the 10th house, trine, natal Saturn in the second, Mars in Taurus ascendant is Pluto, Aquarius, your thrive moment. You've been working on your ascension process since 2011. Let's see, Pluto's gonna be going through your 10th house. Hold on one second. Is Pluto gonna be going through your 10th house? Let me know. Is that how about having Uranus and Neptune on Capricorn ascendant? You said Uranus and Neptune on Capricorn ascendant. That's interesting because it's like, there's something about you that's unique and also very much non-judgmental. So you could be friends with a lot of people with the Uranus energy in there. And then Neptune is interesting because Neptune ascendant aspects, basically like people project onto you, right? So they project a dream onto you. So you might notice a lot of the time people kind of either put you on a pedestal or they see you in a certain type of way because they projected basically a dream that they have of you onto you, right? So here's the thing, you know, when you're younger and you don't know who you are, that could be a struggle because, again, people are always projecting onto you, so you might not know who you are, right? Later on in life, people are projecting onto you, you can take that to your advantage, right? Those energies like the Neptune ascendant types of energies can do well on a screen, for example, right? Let's say you want to do acting or be on some sort of screen and like you can take advantage of the energy in this way. So again, it depends what way you look at it, right? And how you want to take advantage of the energy. Exactly, sexual energy cannot lie. Exactly, you said it's literal. You said it's like literally psychically, emotionally exposed. Exactly, that's why Scorpionic types of people or Plutonian types of people bring everything to the surface for other people. Is basically what that is, okay? It's that vulnerability energy is really, really what that is. And you don't really have to do much because it's just like, it's the essence of you is really, really what it is. People don't understand these types of energies because people look at it as a very literal type of thing, but there's so much going on with sexual energy overall, okay? You said your Venus is in Cancer and Cancer Sun in the 10th. Okay, so with that Venus in Cancer and Cancer Sun, what could be pulling you out of where you're trying to go is the home, and it could be the mother, okay? Because it's Cancer, but if it's not, it'll be the dominant feminine role in your life, and just like the abandonment wound in general could be pulling you out of where it is that you're trying to go, okay? So that might be something that you might have to integrate, or you said you've been doing your ascension process since 2011. Maybe you've transmuted this within you already, but there could be subconscious things going on there, right? Because it is in the Venus too, also interfering maybe with your friends or your love life or these types of things, okay? Something to do with like the fear of abandonment, or it's usually emotional abandonment with Cancer, I noticed though. You said, yeah, it's a lot of 10th house placements. There's always a theme in the chat. I'm so here for it though, okay? Because it's like the vibes kind of like, you know, come to each other is really what that is, okay? You said every time it's the pedestal and the pit and back and forth. What do you mean pit? Let's see. You're welcome. You said you place prayer and water for clients and, oh, nice. And then you said, Yes, having a Scorpio stellium, you 100%. Oh, thank you. You guys are so kind. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, absolutely. That's what it is with the Scorpionic energy. That's just their karma. You can look at it as karma or life purpose or what they're meant to do down here, okay? You incarnate with that energy for a reason, because that's why also like the energy is connected to healing energy is basically what that is, because sexual energy is healing energy, and it's also psychic energy, and it's also creative energy, okay? So it's all of this combined. So it's just like, because you have a lot of it, you can create a lot, right? You can create a lot for yourself. You have a lot of manifestor's energy. You have a lot of manifestation potential if you're not wasting it, is basically what that is, okay? On lower chakra types of activities. You said sometimes you wonder where the two Plutonian energies meet and don't. Like, is that me or is that you? You're too psychic, it seems. I'm curious to know what you're referring to. And then you said like high and low, they put you on a pedestal and then quickly remove it all, their own stuff. Are you talking about the Neptunian aspect to the ascendant? Hey, Sarah, thank you for the super chat. You said, do I have any advice for your North Node return coming in the 4th house? You don't want family or kids, only money and career. That's interesting, actually, because that means your South Node would be, so is your North Node, okay, your North Node is in the 4th, so your South Node would be in the 10th. That's interesting. There's probably something unfinished here from a previous lifetime where you didn't get to do money and career, is really what that is. Because the thing is, the way that I see North Node, South Node, it's like South Node, maybe you mastered, but you probably didn't get to fully complete, because if you completed it, you wouldn't incarnate again. Like, that's kind of the way that I see it. So yes, if you don't want to do that, then you don't have to. That's the way that I see it, right? Listen to your intuition at the end of the day and follow that. So there's probably something here in terms of money and career that you didn't get to actually fully complete in a previous lifetime. So maybe focus on that first, and then if you want to go in another direction after that, then go. But yeah, listen to your intuition always, okay? Hey Blake, how are you doing? You said you were wondering the significance of your 8th house being super stacked. Oh my gosh, a lot of 8th house people in the chat tonight too. 8th house Scorpio types of people, Plutonians. You said you've got Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and Capricorn ruling the house. Okay, so you have Capricorn in the 8th house, which is interesting, okay? Because whatever sign you guys have in the 8th house, that's kind of like the shadows of that sign that you're meant to transmute and integrate, right? So Capricorn in the 8th house sometimes might do anything to get to the top, even if that means like sleeping their way to the top. I'm not saying this is you, but that could be a shadow trait, right? With Capricorn in the 8th, sometimes that energy can be really ruthless, you know? So these are things that you're kind of integrating within the self, okay? Capricorn in the 8th house. And then you have Jupiter, Venus, and Mars in the 8th. Those are all very nice energies for manifestation and basically drive, even with the Mars in the 8th house, okay? Even Venus in the 8th, that's a wealth placement also. And then Jupiter in the 8th can also be wealth. It could be through a spouse, it could be through inheritance. It's usually other people's money. So 8th house types of energies deal with other people's money, right? So let's say you want to launch something. It's going to be probably more wise. Obviously, you have the free will to do what you want, but as an 8th house person, it's going to probably be more wise to work with, let's say, an investor, right? Somebody else's money, okay? You will probably, have more, let's say, prosperity if it is, let's say, an investor or these types of things, okay? But be aware, okay, because having those energies in there, you could also fall into fast money, right? So like gambling, get rich quick, these types of things. So again, you're neutralizing that energy within. It could be wealth, absolutely. But again, sometimes in trying to get wealthy, these types of energies are trying to cut energetic corners down here on this earth plane. So they fall into fast money, right? And then they kind of weave themselves into this karmic web. And it's like then you spend more time trying to unweave yourself. Whereas if you looked at the 2nd house or even Taurus energies, right? Like Taurus is slow and steady, wins the race. So you want to neutralize somewhere in the middle, basically, okay? You said you're talking about Plutonian energy. Oh, interesting. You're talking about Plutonian energy attracting people. They're putting you on a pedestal and then demonizing you. You're super strong. Yeah, so that's the thing. Okay, that's the thing, because when you're Plutonian, people are attracted to you because it's interesting, because there's the attraction and there's a fear connected in there as well, okay? The thing is, the Plutonian, or again, Scorpionic person or even 8th house person, okay? What these people are doing is they're usually just mirroring back to the other person what the other person is, right? So with that being said, if they see something within you, it could be something that they really like, right? But it's like, it can go into obsession energies, right? Like it can literally be like that movie, The Roommate. Have you guys ever like seen that movie? Anyways, it's like where the person becomes very obsessed with the roommate, and it's like this obsession to the point where they want to be you, right? Which is dangerous, So this is what I mean. It's like they put you on the pedestal, but at the same time, there could be envy there as well as taking place. There could be an energy, depends what's going on, right? In the dynamic, they could also kind of like want to be energetically breaking you down, right? So you have to be very weary when you have these energies in your chart, and like, why are the people around you, right? Is really what that is, because they might not necessarily have the best intentions. So that's kind of how all of that happens. And then the demonizing you part comes in because you're bringing their shadows to the surface. So it's literally what I was saying in terms of the synastry, right? Earlier in the live, it's like, again, you're the one, like it's your energy that's bringing things to the surface for the other person. So it's like if they're not evolved and they aren't aware that it's just things that they have to work within themselves, that it has nothing to do with you, they're going to project onto you and say you're the one that's causing this. And in one way, like if you think about it, it is true, right? But it's not like you're doing it on purpose. It's just the nature of the energy, right? When people come in contact with like a Plutonian or a Scorpionic type of person, or again, a house type of person, that energy is kind of like a tornado, right? Because that energy is coming through that person's life, right? To look at things that they haven't looked at is basically what it is, okay? It's kind of like that tornado, and then they get left with the debris, trying to pick up the energetic pieces to basically build themselves up again, okay? Because all these situations, whether it is like you as a person, you're the Plutonian, okay? Or it's like a synastry thing, or it is something taking place where it's like, again, you know, something's going on with the synastry, whether it's Scorpio or whether it is a house synastry or whether it is Pluto, whatever, right? Basically what's taking place here is like the energy is coming through to break down some form of the ego is basically what that is, okay? Maybe a belief, maybe something that person was, a part of their life where they were living in denial. Maybe they weren't being authentic. Maybe they were being deceptive, whatever it is, right? The person comes through, the two people come in contact to basically break something down and transform. That's the whole point, is the transformation of the self, okay? Let's see, what else are you guys saying in here? Okay, I'm gonna go back up. I'll get you guys at the bottom in just a second. How would Pluto in Aquarius now affect Pluto in the first house in Scorpio? Can you tell me, Natalie, do you have Aquarius in your fourth house overall? I'm just going back up to see what I may have missed up here. Okay, Clarice, you said what? Okay, you said, so what I am saying about the Scorpio moon, would it apply if you have Pluto opposing the moon? It could. Yes, you have Pluto in Scorpio in the 12th house. That's intense. And you have moon in Gemini in the 6th house. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, you have Pluto opposing the moon. Also, even Pluto in the 12th house is intense because you're clearing through a lot of your subconscious in this lifetime, basically, okay, with the Pluto in the 12th house. But yes, any sort of, okay, so it's either like you have a Scorpio moon, okay? You could have a Scorpio moon. So these are the energies that are similar. They're not the same, okay? Keep this in mind, okay? But they're very similar energetically, okay? So what is this? You could have a Scorpio moon. You could have moon in the 8th house. You could also have Pluto in the 4th house. You could also have Scorpio occupying your 4th house. You can have moon Pluto aspects, okay? All of this is going to be intensity around the emotional world and the home and the upbringing. It's not the exact same energy, okay, but it's very similar energetically, okay? So there's a lot of aspects that take place, let's say, in a natal chart, right? That could be similar energetically. And yes, that could be one of them, absolutely. You have 20-degree Libra rising, Pluto considered, you said, is Pluto considered in your 4th house and not the 5th as of yet? Can you tell me, what do you have in your 4th house? If you're still in the room, Tiff, let me know, what do you have in your 4th house? Like, what sign is in there right now? You said Sun, 29 degrees, Esperanza, I'm way back at the top here. You said Sun, 29 degrees, 12, so I'm guessing 12th house, Pluto, 29 degrees, wow. You have Saturn in Scorpio in the 12th house, wow. Midheaven in Leo at 29 degrees in the 10th. That is a lot to clear in this lifetime. You said eventually took you a while. Okay, let's see. This is all from before. Oh, so nice to have a 12th house person here. Welcome. And you have a lot of Cancer as well. And then Tiff, you said again here, you said, is Pluto still considered? You have 2 degrees Aquarius sun. If you're still in the room, let me know, what sign do you have in your 4th house? I don't do any sort of predictive types of readings or questions. You said composite chart aspects or synastry aspects more important in a relationship. Synastry is usually the beginning of the relationship, and then composite is going to tell you how the relationship unfolds over time, okay? You said your 4th house is Aquarius and you have Saturn in Aquarius as well. And then up here you said Pluto in Aquarius, and you said Pluto in Aquarius. You said, how will Pluto in Aquarius now affect Pluto in the 1st house? So Pluto in Aquarius is actually going to affect your 4th house, Natalie, okay? So it's going to affect your home. It's going to affect your, and in it affecting the 4th house, it's also going to affect the 10th house as well, okay? Because it's always the oppositional energy. So you could go through change and transformation when it comes to the home, when it comes to then also the career, for example. You could go through change and transformation, maybe belief systems around the home, you know, certain things that, again, you didn't look at or you didn't know, or shadow things, shadow traits, okay, with Pluto going through the 4th house. I love that. Hurricane Esperanza. I like it. Hey, welcome. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, questions about your natal charts. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'm just going to go back up to see who I may have missed. Cancer sun, 9 degrees, 12th house, Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter trine Pluto, Sun conjunct Jupiter, thinking of going back to school / career change after burning out at work. I mean, Jupiter is school, so there's that, right? Learning, education. That's something I have to look at your whole chart to see what's going on, though, for more information. Hey, Dave, how are you doing? How are you doing? Aries sun, you're in Aries moon, Leo sun, and Mercury conjunct Uranus, like Sigmund Freud. I love it. I see your comments on my videos. I see that one. I love it. I'm here for it, okay? The Mercury conjunct Uranus. Yes, amazing energy. Let's see what else you guys saying in here as well. Aquarius rising, nice. And you've never been overseas. That's probably something in your chart as well. We'd have to look at it and see what's going on. Chiron is the wounded healer, okay? So it's the area that you're healing through in this lifetime. 10th house, Leo, Venus, and Mars. What does that mean for romance? Is it a good placement? Here's the thing. The 10th house, like Venus, and it's in Leo, you know, when it comes to relationships, you might be going after people for their status, for example, right? You might want someone of status, but here's the thing. You could be someone of status too, and then you can want someone of status as well, right? So there could be that. With the Venus and Leo, here's the thing. Like sometimes these people are interested in people, again, of status, or let's say athletes, or let's say influencers, or models, all these types of people, right? That's Venus and Leo. Like you want that type of partner. But the thing is, sometimes when you want that type of partner, you know, you kind of just get, let's say, that, right? Maybe there isn't anything deeper going on there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Leo Venus can also be very, very loyal as well, right? When it comes to relationships, it could be to a detriment. So I will say that as well. So it depends. It depends. In terms of romance, Christine, we'd have to look at, it depends. Are you into men or are you into women? So we'd have to look at those placements to see what kind of energy are you pulling through. We'd have to look at the aspects to Venus. We'd have to look at the 7th house as well. There's a lot to look at to see what's actually going on here. But with just that information, the 10th house Venus, you basically want someone who is in some sort of, you know, position of authority, power, you know, influence. That's that Leo Venus in the 10th house. And then also, the thing is, with these energies, you could be that, and then you could attract people to you for that reason as well, okay? You said throughout your life, it's been a recurring theme of telling people, you said it's been a recurring theme of people telling you karma type things without notice during the first time interactions. Exactly. That's the A house, because you're pulling things out of people is basically what that is, right? So maybe you're someone who's a little bit more withdrawn, and when you're withdrawn, a lot of the time that makes people uncomfortable, so then they have to overcompensate and talk a lot, right? So that's part of it, right? Sometimes people can feel your, let's say, healing energy. Maybe they just feel comfortable around you and then they tell you everything, right? That's an A house. So you're pulling it out of people. It could be Gemini rising. You could be a little bit chattier as well. So it could be a lot of like bouncing back and forth. And even as the A house person, you could ask them, let's say, thought-provoking questions, right? You just keep asking because you're curious, and then because you're asking, the information comes out. So it could be like an abundance of things. You said Mars and Gemini, hate, concern. These are conflicting energies. Mars and Gemini, and then the 2nd house. What does all this mean? Oh, you have Mars retrograde as well. Mars retrograde is a little bit of a struggle because it's like when it comes to your ambition, going after things, it's a retrograding, right? So it's like you might have to work harder, right, to actually put in the ambition, right? Mars and Gemini is also a struggle because it's mutable, first of all, okay? Second of all, Gemini, again, is here, there, everywhere. For them, it's like, it's all about things that are interesting to them. Sometimes they even forget, right, halfway through what they're doing because they found something else to do that's more interesting, right? And again, you have to look at the earth plane. You know, that's the energy and that's just what it is. But it's like, the earth plane is the earth plane, right? So we have to look at the earth's energies and things that thrive down here, which are consistency, you know, practice makes perfect, routine, dedication, right? So it's like the Gemini Mars, you're gonna have to adjust is basically what that is, especially if you want to get to that second house, which is making the money and the abundance, right? So it's this. And sometimes when it comes to conflict, Mars and Gemini, let's say they can make a joke or they can avoid conflict altogether, right? Or these types of things with Mars and Gemini. So that's that thing. It could also be indecisive. A lot of people don't talk about this with Gemini, but Gemini could be a little bit more indecisive than Libra, what I've noticed. And sometimes they can also have a little bit of people-pleasing tendencies too, I've noticed with Geminis. Sometimes, okay, not all of them, but sometimes. So you'd have to see how the energy is operating is basically what that is, but you might have to work a little harder. That's it, right? Just learning the energy in your chart that you can be flaky, or, you know, when it comes to a goal, you can start it and then forget about it, or it's like you move on to the next thing that's more interesting. So just like trying to figure out what you want to do and just focusing on that thing is basically what that is. And with Gemini, as soon as it gets boring, trying to push through, right? Or find something interesting in that thing. Because Mars and Gemini, like the benefit of Gemini energy is they can be very good at multitasking, right? So they can be good at multitasking, but you have to get to the point where you can multitask. You know what I mean? Because Gemini starts something, they get to like 10, 20%, they're like, okay, next, right? So again, this is just my own opinion and you have the free will to do what you want. But if you have Gemini energy trying to push through and get something to maybe, you know, 80 or 90% where it's running, and then you start the next thing, right? And then get that to 80, 90% and then move on. You know what I mean? So it's just like learning to work with the energies is basically what it is. I do tropical Placidus. He said Mars and Gemini go through every option, but will come back around to it. Unlike Taurus, will dig their heels in just based on they don't want to be wrong. Interesting. Yeah, Taurus can be stubborn, actually. Yeah, Taurus can definitely be stubborn. You said Jupiter retrograde conjunct to Moon in Cancer. You know what's interesting with Jupiter aspects? It's like Jupiter expands, right? Whatever it touches. So it's either going to expand it in a positive sense or it's going to expand it in the shadow sense, right? So like with the Moon and it's in Cancer, well, Moon in Cancer is emotions and it's a lot of emotions, right? So Jupiter expanding this, it's like you could even feel more, right? It could be this. Or, you know, like let's say you're in a bad mood and you're upset, well, Jupiter could expand in that way as well. That's kind of how I see Jupiter aspects, right? So it's expanding whatever it touches, basically, the Jupiter Moon. There could be like a nurturing aspect to you in terms of teaching, because Jupiter in Cancer could be a very nice like teacher, right? Because it's exalted in there, so. Okay, I'm gonna go back up and see if I missed any of you guys up here. Sag North Node. Did I see like Astro Theme change their site for the first time in ever? Oh, did they? I'd have to double check. You said how Aquarian. Oh, interesting. I was literally watching the day when Pluto was going to go into Aquarius. I was literally tracking it almost every hour. Depends what I was doing, okay? But I was tracking it. At one point, I was frequently like refreshing the page to see what it's gonna go into Pluto and Aquarius and 0, 0, 0 degrees, and then I screenshotted it. So that was exciting, but it took a while. It didn't go into Aquarius right away on November 19th. It was somewhere in the afternoon, okay? And I'm in Eastern Standard Time right now. So it was somewhere in the afternoon on November 19th when it officially went into Aquarius. So that was fun to do and to watch, basically. North Node in Aquarius in the 8th house. Basically here to help people transform, okay? That's your life purpose. And Aquarius, some sort of new idea. So maybe you come up with, let's say, you know, some sort of innovation or a tech thing, or let's say it is a science thing, or let's say it is a theory, right? Aquarius, something like this. And it's gonna help basically people change and transform. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go check. Is it Astro Theme? You guys are saying where it changed? Saturn conjunct the moon in the 12th house opposite the sun. You said, isn't that like the worst placement ever? Saturn conjunct the moon and then it's opposite the sun. I don't look at anything as good or bad. Maybe that's my Mercury in Libra, but I see everything as like, this is the energy in your chart, right? So it's like, what are you gonna do with the energy? That's the way that I see it. You can't change it, so it's there. So I try to look at the positive, right? Every sign is going to have the light side and the shadow side. So Saturn conjunct Moon, for example, like that's discipline, you know? And like, why would that be a negative thing? Because you have Moon in the 12th house, which is like crown chakra galore. Well, the Saturn's going to help you reel it in, okay? Because you have to look at the earth plane, right? So people look at Saturn aspects and they think that they are maybe hard or challenging, but it's like, that's the way the earth plane is, okay? It is Saturnian down here, okay? So when you actually have Saturn aspects in your chart, you actually develop the discipline to work well with the energies of this earth plane, right? So in your case, Moon in the 12th house, that energy is going to go off into the ethers, into the crown chakra, overwhelmed, super psychic, super intuitive, which are great things. Those are all great things, but it's like the earth plane is the earth energies, right? So the Saturn is going to pull that all back in for you. And in that particular case, basically going to help you hone it in, going to give you that discipline, you know, to achieve something is basically what that is. And it's nice to have that energy because it's like the Moon in the 12th, you might be a dreamer, and then the Saturn is pulling you to actually work on those dreams, okay? So it's this, and usually Saturn energy, you kind of get used to it, okay? Because Saturn, quote unquote, matures after the age of 35. So you get used to it by that point in time is basically what that is, okay? With Saturn. And then the Moon opposite the Sun could have been a struggle because the parents would have been on opposite pages when you were growing up with the Moon opposite the Sun. For example, like, you know, the father could have been one way, the mother could have been one way, right? Or if the roles are reversed, right? The other parent could have been, you know, opposing the other one, but that's Moon opposite the Sun. You said AstroSeek doesn't have all the aspects to the asteroids and the mathematical points, including the minor aspects on their websites. Which website is the one that you guys are talking about that changed though? Is it AstroSeek or is it AstroTheme? You said a few websites got updated, but the issue with AstroTheme is the fact that they don't have much interpretations of the sidereal. I always look at multiple websites when I'm looking at people's charts. I look at a few different ones to see what's going on. And then I'm doing cross-referencing because I've noticed sometimes the degrees, it's not like the full degree, like it's the minutes are going to be sometimes different on the different websites, which is interesting to see. You said you wrote an article called Pluto. Oh, that's so cool. Pluto 000. I'm curious to know, what is it about? You said you may have lost your container question for all your Pisces energy. So Piscean, what happened? You said you're 0 degrees, Aquarius rising, and you've been watching and feeling Pluto all year. Yeah, trust me. Okay, here's the thing, and this is what I was thinking in my head. I was like, is it because I'm Pluto dominant, like a Plutonian or whatever? I was like, is that why I feel Pluto so much? Because I don't usually follow transits because I try to believe in free will kind of thing, right? So unless like I happen to see it or, you know, it catches my eye or I check, like I'm not following it. You know, some people are like literally checking like all the time, right? What's going on and all that type of stuff. I try not to, okay? But with Pluto, I feel Pluto so much, okay? So Pluto in Aquarius, just when it went into Aquarius, I was like, wow, like what a breath of fresh air compared to Pluto in Capricorn. So I really felt the change. So this year, when it was going back into Capricorn, I was like, oh my goodness, like trying to mentally prepare myself because I was like, okay, it's going back into Capricorn, like it's the old energies. And let me tell you, because this year was predominantly Pluto in Aquarius, I was like, this is so intense. I'm like, get me out of these trenches. Like I am not liking this energy. That's why I was checking, like literally me and one of my friends who talk about these types of things, like every single day, I was like, okay, yeah, Pluto is in Capricorn. We're almost out. Like we're almost out of Pluto in Capricorn. So I'm glad that it's done, okay? Pluto in Capricorn, because it was a very, very heavy energy, okay? Very heavy. Maybe I'll feel the same by the time Pluto finishes with Aquarius, but for now, it's nice, okay? Compared to Pluto in Capricorn. You said so many karmic events in your life with Pluto transits. You said, yes, it was huge for you. You were saying, okay, right? And you guys are Plutonians too. Okay, it was so intense. It was so intense. It was so intense, okay? Especially this one just now that like was in Pluto in Capricorn. Like energetically, it was so intense. And it's so interesting. I was just saying this to you guys in my head earlier, because I was basically saying right now, since Pluto has gone into Aquarius, the timelines to me feel like they're like converging, okay? So it's really interesting because they're like opening and closing and opening and closing. So it's a really interesting energy to adjust to because it's very much like disorienting. I hope that that makes sense, okay? Because Pluto in Capricorn was very energetically restrictive. And it was interesting because another thing too is like, you know, me and my friends talk about like, again, the people who don't know anything about energies, right? And they're the ones who are acting the energies out the most, by the way, okay? The ones who have no idea about what's going on. You know, we were just kind of saying like when Pluto goes back into Capricorn, we were like, try to stay away from like those people who don't know, because like they're going to be wilding out, like, because again, they don't know what's going on. And again, you know, it's irritating them, right? It's bringing things to the surface. So it's this for people who have no idea what's going on. You said, how bad is it having Sun conjunct North Node and Saturn and you said those people who don't want help? Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can do. You got to just let them be in their self-sabotaging types of ways, right? It's all very detrimental, but what can you do, right? The person has to want to change themselves. Okay, so you said, how bad is it having Sun conjunct North Node and Saturn in the 7th house in Gemini for marriage? Your 7th house ruler, Mercury, is also in the 6th house. That's interesting because having that ruler in the 6th house could actually be a struggle. It could be a blessing for you to actually have the marriage later on in life, because that ruler in the 6th house could be like criticism, like from your partners, right? So it's like, you know, when you get older, you have more of a backbone, right? So you might not necessarily allow them to criticize you as much. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of like the way that I see it. But here's the thing, okay? Saturn in the 7th, it's usually after the age of 35. I know some people don't want to hear that, but that's when Saturn matures. It might be sooner for you, okay? Again, I don't do predictions. That's just how it is in astrology, right? So when you have Saturn in the 7th, the thing is like, you know, sometimes, and this is like the karma and these types of things, and this is why you have to look at people's natal charts, right? Because different souls have different paths, right? For you, it could be kind of like you're meant to be doing something else first, and then when you achieve whatever you're doing, then you go into marriage, right? So not everyone's path is going to be linear, and it's not all going to be the same, okay? Is basically what that is. Let's see, he said, could I speak on, I'm so glad that that resonated with all of you guys. You said, could I speak to this? Someone very important in your life, your sister, your brother, fiance, your sister, your brother, fiance, and birthday, all add up to the number 2018, life path 11. Oh, that's so interesting. So everybody's life path is 11? Is that what it is? You said an entire wet, heavy blanket over the universe. It was so dark. You said, yes, you're so, exactly, like full, you stay inside. Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna lay low, like while this transit ends, because I'm like, I don't feel like dealing with just like people that are gonna be like wilding out here and just like acting unhinged is really, really what that is with that energy. Oh, really? No way. You can look at it as like soul family. I've noticed these themes happen in like, sometimes even karmic situations. I've noticed they tend to have like very similar birthdays, or like on the same day, or they have the same day number, or it's close. Like let's say, you know, you have someone who's born on the 13th and the other one's born on the 14th, for example, right? It's usually something karmic though that people are clearing. And anytime you have, you know, the family and all these people, it's always something that everyone's clearing amongst each other, right? So it makes sense. You said your Lilith is in Pisces and on sidereal is in Aquarius. So I believe tropical is us and the sidereal is our higher self. Well, that's really interesting. You're trying to get it all intact even though you've come so far. Yeah, that's something that I have to spend more time thinking about, aka like tapping into. Because here's the thing, you guys, okay? Now you guys are the real ones that are in the chat, or the people who are watching this and they get to this point in the live, because I've come to the conclusion. So a lot of the time I tell you guys how I feel like Saturn is operating this earth plane. Well, I've also come to the conclusion that the planets are dimensional, okay? So they're like dimensional energies that are all around the earth plane, which is so interesting, because then I found a photo which basically outlines this, okay? And I put that on my threads if you guys want to see that, okay? So go check out my threads. It's Barbara and then JSC, okay? So with that being said, they're basically, it's like a dimensional grid that's around the earth plane. So none of this is physical, okay? Allegedly, in just my own opinion, I gotta always say that, right? So it's dimensional and it's energetic, and all of this is some sort of energetic overlay, okay? That is happening around the earth plane, okay? And it's all dimensional. So in my mind, with that being said, there's this energetic overlay, okay? That's taking place, and the energetic overlay are all of these placements, okay? That are impacting this plane. So I was thinking in my head, and I'm like, okay, so I've come to this conclusion now. And then I was like, okay, but where does the sidereal and tropical conversation fit into that, okay? So I don't have an answer for you, because I'd have to think about that. Because anytime I try to tap into, just like psychically, when I try to tap into like what's going on with sidereal and what's going on with like Placidus, like it puts me into cognitive dissonance. So there's something there that's like either one system is the system and the other one isn't, or, but then it's like people resonate with both. So there's something going on there where we don't have the full story, I feel like, okay? Because as soon as I tap into something and I have cognitive dissonance, there's something there that's not adding up in the story, is basically what that is. You said you haven't looked. It's not something that you'll see, for example. Thank you. You're welcome, Cheyenne. Thank you for being here and for being a part of this channel. You said it's interesting because you're all born on different months and days, but they add to 2018. That's so interesting. I mean, I love the number 11. It's a nice number. You said your ex and you had the same birthday. Yeah, exactly. I noticed that because there was a point in time that a lot of people that I was meeting had the same birthday as me or like one day after me. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, why am I meeting all these people? Although to be fair, okay, I'm not going to get into that. The point of conception. Okay, you guys get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, there's something there. So it's something that I have to spend more time thinking about. But anytime I try to tap into it, I go into cognitive dissonance. So I'm just like, there's something here, right? That, because usually like when I'm trying to understand something, I think about it for a long period of time. I think about it, and then the answer comes through, right? Because I'm like, why is it like that? Why is it like that? And I guess that's claircognizance, right? So it's usually around concepts and these types of things. Okay, that's why I share with you guys like the metaphysical things, right? So I learned something and I'm like, okay, well, why do they do it that way? Let's say it's in a religion or whatever. And I think about it and then it comes through, right? So I just got to give it time and then eventually the information will probably come through. But as of right now, there's something there, okay? Where it's like, there's something with these systems. What's there, like there is an energetic overlay, okay, around the earth plane. Okay, that like is my conclusion thus far in my own opinion, allegedly, okay? But which of these systems fits into that and why are there different systems? Because there's even another type of astrology called Babylonian astrology that I have yet to discover like what's going on with that. They probably give us like two truths and a lie in both systems or something of that sort to like, again, have certain things resonating with people and then to throw people off. Like there's something going on with that, right? Because the thing is like, if we had the full truth, right, of all of this, then everybody would be in certain positions in this world, right? So it's like a lot of it deals with us having to come to certain conclusions on our own based on the information that we have, right? So it's this. Yes, I hope that makes sense. You said the threads you meant you have looked, you knew the part of not quote unquote seeing the grid. Okay, good. You guys know what I'm talking about. You're welcome. What do I think about having Lilith in Libra and Moon in Scorpio in the 12th house? Both of them are in the 12th house. Lilith and Libra, you have to look at the shadows of Libra, okay? People pleasing, not choosing the self, not wanting to be alone. That's Lilith and Libra, okay? You have to transmute those energies within, okay? You know, codependency, all these things. In the 12th house, Lilith can be kind of like, again, even using spiritual information to manipulate people. I'm not saying this is you, but you have to look at the shadow of that energy. So you're transmuting that energy within, okay? And then Moon in Scorpio, I mean, Moon and Scorpio, there's just so much to say. Honestly, there's so much to say, okay? A lot of energetic clearance when it comes to the home, your psychic, your intuitive, and it's in the 12th house. So it's kind of like your relationship with the home and the mother is actually trickling through from a previous lifetime because it's the 12th house energy. Super psychic though, okay? Super, super psychic. Okay, you guys, if you want your own reading, your own natal chart reading, your own synastry reading, if that's a reading with another person, right? So synastry, or if you want a progressed natal chart reading, the information for all of that is going to be on my website. It'll be in the description box below. You guys can click on the readings tab. An email window should pop up. You guys can send me the email and we'll go from there, okay? If you want your own reading. So I'm gonna leave now. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions, comments, and thank you for the conversations. If I missed your question, I'll catch you guys next time, okay? And thank you once again. So I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day or evening wherever you are. Bye. You guys are the best. You guys are awesome. Yes, Astro Besties.